Heyo, EC here, and we need to talk about the new Donkey Kong Bananza DLC. Let's be honest, it's kind of interesting that this has happened. Let's just put it lightly. Now, before we get into this, obviously, I'm going to ask you all, if you're new, make sure you subscribe and like, and tell me what you think about this new DLC, and tell me what you think about Donkey Kong Bananza in general in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about this game. Is this the game that was sold you on Switch 2? Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Anyway, so Donkey Kong Bonanza is obviously the only real Switch 2 exclusive game at this point. It's the only real game that people were really interested in. Mario Kart World sort of came out. People were just sort of like, okay, it's all right, but it's not major. And then, obviously, the other games we've seen is Dragon X Drive and, the Welcome Tour. So, really, this is the game that really sold a lot of people on the Switch 2. And let's be honest, the DLC is cut content from the game, so let's just give them that. But also, it's a little bit strange that Nintendo is releasing a DLC for $20 or £16, so shortly after the actual Donkey Kong Bonanza came out. Because normally Nintendo DLC comes out around 5-6+ months after the actual games come out, when it's been on the market for a couple months, and obviously, 5-6 months. So to have this DLC be released less than 2 months after the game officially came out, to me is a very weird strategy. And many people are going to say, oh, it's because they're desperate. They're desperate to keep people playing, desperate to keep people hyped in the loop. And I do kind of feel like that is true to some extent. I feel like Nintendo needs to sort of bridge a gap, because realistically, Donkey Kong Bonanza is obviously the second major Switch 2 game. We had Dragon X Drive in August, but then there's nothing between now and really the Pokemon Z Legends ZA's release. So Nintendo kind of needed something to fill the void. They needed something that was big and, that would not only attract sales, but also attract an audience and keep people engaged with the Nintendo Switch 2, and not have them get buyer's remorse for buying a Switch 2 for $400 and it not having enough games. That is just how it is, right? So really, I think Nintendo had an issue here where they had to make a decision. They had to make the decision to... Obviously, I think this DLC was obviously going to be developed anyway, and I feel like they probably planned to release this anyway as a DLC. But I think they moved it up a bit. I think they moved it forward quite a bit just so they could obviously keep new content going for the Nintendo Switch 2, whilst obviously Nintendo obviously worked on other first-party Switch 2 games. Because let's be honest, Pokemon Legends is going to be the next big game. It's going to be the next big one. It will obviously be sort of a game that sells really well on Switch 1 and Switch 2. And we've got Kirby Air... I believe we've got Kirby Air Riders in November, which should sell quite well as well. And then we're going to have Metroid Prime in December, which is going to be huge as well. So really, September, they needed something to sort of bridge the gap and fill the void. And the DLC, from what it seems, doesn't seem that bad for the price. I believe the price tag is the same as what it is for Dragon X Drive in the US. In the UK, it is the same price, which is quite interesting, which means, obviously, if you already own Donkey Kong Bonanza, you might as well buy the DLC instead of buying Dragon X Drive, because this is actually a fun, enjoyable game. And obviously, this DLC, you probably already bought the game anyway, so you might as well get the DLC and try it out, because it does look quite fun. It does look quite interesting. But obviously, to me, I feel like this DLC was obviously always planned to be DLC. They just moved it forward a few months because they needed to fill a void. And I'll be honest, that shows as a flaw to Nintendo's strategy with the Switch 2, because it feels like they didn't have enough content at launch. It feels like they didn't have enough original games, first-party games. And even now, nearly 3 months after launch, they are still don't have the best lineup of first-party games, because a lot of the games that they've added are Switch 1 remasters, which to me don't appeal to me. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom don't appeal to me as Switch 2 versions, because obviously we could have already played those games on the Switch, and obviously Breath of the Wild especially was a Wii U game. So really, those games getting Switch 2 versions just kind of annoyed me. But I do think this DLC, I don't think it looks bad. I think it looks quite enjoyable. I'm just a little bit surprised that they would release DLC so soon. But also, when you look at the release calendar, it makes sense, because this DLC can sort of breathe and give some new levels and playing game modes and whatever to Donkey Kong Bonanza, whilst obviously Nintendo finishes up work on obviously Pokemon Legends EA and all their other big games for the rest of the year. Because I think during the holiday season, where we have Pokemon Legends EA, Kirby Air Riders, and Metroid Prime 4, I reckon they're going to make a killing there, and those are going to all be great games, and they're going to be if not 10 out of 10, they're all going to hit quite well. And I feel like this DLC is just a sort of a filler whilst obviously they get to that point. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, all that sort of stuff. Turn on notifications as well if you want to, keep in the loop with my videos. Turn on the notifications, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.